Yes. Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. So, welcome back to the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokun. Our guest is Donatus Kunzume. He's a legal practitioner and a green and climate finance expert based in Accra, Ghana. We are sorry about the technical challenges. So, the last question I asked before we went off was the fact that developing countries are struggling to assess green or climate financing, and the developed world over the years promised to provide funding available to support developing countries, but they've not been able to do so. Why is it the case, and what are the barriers uh, to all of that? And then you indicated that um, the problem is from both the recipient and the donor, right? And so, can you kindly continue with that?
Right. Thank you, Doc, for the opportunity, and sorry to viewers for the interruption. Yeah. So like I said, it's a bidirectional causality. It has this bidirectional causality coming from either the recipient or from the providers of the fund. And the key issues have to do with lack of bankable project from the perspective of the providers of the fund. There's also risks involved in being able to recoup their funding after a period of time. Also the issues about possibility of mismanagement. Those concerns are there, whether when funds are provided, project managers, especially for national government, whether they are going to deploy it strictly for the purpose for which the funds are there. So these are some of the concerns. We also have the issues about macroeconomic risks, foreign exchange issues, and related matters. So these are basically the challenges from the side of the developing countries or the recipient. There's issues about the stringent requirements in accessing the funds, which somehow makes it a challenge for them to be able to tap into the fund, even though the funds are available. Yeah. And also the concerns about whether there's even real commitment to making the funds available.
This is the Green Transition Show. If you are watching us for the first time, kindly hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on TikTok. This will motivate us to continue to bring you such insightful conversations. We are discussing green and climate finance from a practitioner's perspective. My guest is Donatus Kunzume, a legal practitioner and a green climate finance expert. Now, we hear a lot of council. Uh, we hear a lot about green bonds, sustainability linked loans, blended finance, and carbon credits. Which financing instruments do you believe hold the greatest promise for accelerating the green transition?
Thank you, Doc, for that question. And Peter, before I even go into give my opinion as to which of them is the best, I will just need to run through some what these concepts really mean for the benefit of our audience. So when we talk about blended finance, we are looking at financing instruments. So basically, bonds, blended finance, sustainability linked loans are collectively referred to as investment instrument or for green projects. When we talk about blended finance, we're looking at financing, but that combines concessional or concessional financing instrument plus commercial capital, and including sometimes technical assistance or guarantees. And the essence of this combination is to the risk the projects or some the funding can be used the funding can be used for the project preparation phase or feasibility study phase. So blended finance has the nature of combining both commercial funding, concessional funding, and grants in various proportions to finance project. When we talk about sustainability linked financing, it refers to a financing instrument that is used to motivate businesses or green project developers to adhere to what we call sustainability performance metrics or sustainability performance target. That is to say, financing institution will typically say under their sustainability linked financing model that if you are able to achieve a certain environmental, social, or governance metrics as a business, your borrowing or the interest rate at which you are able to receive funding will be at a reduced rate. So let's take a typical example. Let's take a bank, for instance. A bank gives you 100 million Ghana cedis for a project. And the bank can give us a condition and say that if you are able to meet a certain environmental matrix, say a certain percentage, you can say your environmental score for across the governance, economic, and environment metrics should be a minimum of 60%. And therefore, if you meet that criteria, you will be able to borrow or give you money at an interest rate which is lower than somebody who or another entity which has not met those requirements. So that's the concept of sustainability linked financing. And the sustainability linked financing can either sustainability linked loan or a sustainability linked bonds. So that is what sustainability linked financing refers to. Then we have the green bonds. The green bonds, a bond is an instrument, a debt instrument, an instrument for raising debts to finance a project. As the name suggests, green, it means that the use of proceeds for that financing should be targeted for projects that contribute to carbon emission reduction or contribute to an environmental goal. So it could be reducing the amount of carbon emissions. It could be undertaking a project which has a substantial environmental benefit. It could be financing the project to take away an environmental hazard. So, for instance, a bond that is issued, for instance, for reclamation of our rubbish site, if the proceeds of the money are actually targeted towards that, or if the purpose of the raising of the bond is towards such an initiative, it can qualify as a green bond. And the bonds are usually listed in the capital market of national government, or it can be cross national stock exchanges. And they have strict regulations governing the issuance of green bonds. So, for example, in the case of Ghana, we have the green bond guidelines, which are issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission to guide potential businesses or investors that want to raise funding in the capital market using the instrument of a green bond. So these are some of the options that are available. Having explained them, for me, I think that the stage in which developing countries are, we need a blend of financing, technical assistance, and other distressed instrument grants. And therefore, my preference at this stage, the stage in which developing countries are, where we have issues about packaging our project, where we need technical assistance in giving and conceptualizing our projects and are taking feasibility studies. I would say that the stage in which we on top of the list should be the blended financing schemes, which combines direct funding, concessional funding, grants, and also technical support, and this risky instrument that actually support projects to take off from the ground.
Okay, viewers, we're sorry about the quality of the sound. I think our guest Donatus, if you can reposition yourself really well, it looks like your internet connection is really bad. We're sorry about that, but we're having an interesting conversation. The conversation is really interesting, and I'm learning a lot, particularly with regards to green and climate financing, the different financing sources, and the difference between them. Sometimes we use them interchangeably. So it is good that our guest is explain to us these concepts, how to assess them, the barriers that developing countries usually encounter in assessing these funding sources, whether in the form of grants or loans. And as I indicated in my previous, I mentioned previously that the the developed countries have made a promise to provide these funding sources to developing countries, because developing countries, particularly those in the global south, are the most affected in terms of the impact of climate change, even though they are not responsible for most of the causes of climate change. But they've not been able to make the money available to developing countries, even though they've made that promise. And so, okay, our guest is explaining to us um, the importance of these funding sources, how to access these funding sources, the barriers that developing countries usually encounter in accessing these funding sources. So if you're watching us for the first time, this is the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokun. Our guest is Donatus Kunzume, a legal practitioner and a green and climate finance expert based in Accra, Ghana. Council, greenwashing has become a major concern in sustainable finance. How can investors, regulators, and the public, distinguish between genuine sustainability investments and misleading environmental claims? You are muted.
Thank you. Greenwashing. Thank you. Greenwashing simply refers to um, extreme marketing of sustainability or green credentials, which are not supported, in my perspective. When we talk about greenwashing, it refers to unverified or unsubstantiated marketing of green initiative or green credentials, which are not supported by the reality on the ground. And it has become a source of concern for many investors. So some of the ways of dealing with this is issues about transparency, independent verification of the green credentials of entities. So these are some of the ways that we can, and the quality of data sourcing is actually the pivot around which your green claims can be substantiated. So typically solving the greenwashing issues means that organizations or project development must build structures for effective reporting. They must be transparent in the claims that they make, and this can be supported by independent verifiers who comes in to assess the green claims that are made by the institutions. So these are the ways that greenwashing can be addressed. And greenwashing has the potential of affecting the reputation of the recipient of the fund. So it's a serious debate or matter in the field of sustainability or green financing. And therefore, any entity that is desirous of tapping into green funding must ensure that they have have a robust system to support the reporting and supported by independent verification of their green credentials.
Looking specifically at Africa, where do you see the greatest opportunities for mobilizing green and climate finance?
So there are a number of sectors that uh, has a lot of opportunities to attract green capital. So, and for the case of Ghana and many other African countries, starting from Ghana, Ghana, the government of Ghana, as part of the pursuit of its nationally determined contribution, have focused on certain key sectors for meeting the Paris Agreement. And these are captured in the Ghana Green Finance Taxonomy. And the key sectors are renewable energy. We realize that industries are growing, population is expanding, so the need for cleaner alternative sources of energy becomes a viable opportunity for investment. This is coupled with the fact that there are erratic rainfall which no longer provide adequate water resources for hydro. And therefore, renewable energy is one of the areas where that can attract a lot of capital. Some estimates, conservative estimates, put the investment gap for renewable energy in the billions of dollars. So it is one of the topmost areas for investment opportunities for climate or green financing. The next one is waste management. Um, our district assemblies are struggling to manage waste. From district assembly, municipal and metropolitan assemblies are struggling with waste management. It's one of the biggest issues confronting both district assembly, especially in the cities. And therefore, it creates an opportunity for financing opportunities for investors, and at the same time for credible businesses that have well-defined business structures and governance framework to be able to receive funding in those areas. Then we have clean transportation, urban transportation, e-mobility or green mobility as we call it, is also another subcomponent of for the attraction of green investment. And there are a number of individual entrepreneurs who are trying to get into this space. Financing continues to be a challenge, but the sector is big. I occasionally look at the rush hours in Accra, for instance, and Kumasi. You will realize that in the morning you will have people who are stranded, struggling to get onto a vehicle just to get to work. So this creates an opportunity for financing in public bus transport system. That is the clean transportation option. And we also have the circular economic activities. With the depletion of resources, circular economic activities, where we talk about usually the three R's. We are talking about recycling, we are talking about reuse, and we are talking about reduced consumption of resources whilst maintaining the same standard of living. So these are some of the key sectors that can attract in Africa, that are potential to attract investment, also serve as a viable business opportunity for entrepreneurs and for national government to focus on.
But Council, so what about businesses and entrepreneurs interested in sustainability? What practical advice would you give on attracting green investments and becoming investment ready?
Yes, this question comes to the core of the challenges that both investors and businesses have when it comes to the exchange of value. The exchange of value here, I'm referring to businesses having a viable business which can attract capital, and investors having the comfort that there's a viable business where my money can go into. So for me, I think the starting point is actually creating for the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs need to have a strong business model or a credible business model, not a complex business model. For us as banks, as long as we don't see the structure right, it becomes difficult for us to have a credit conversation. The structure must be simple, must be understandable. It shouldn't be so esoteric that it is difficult to understand where your cash flows are coming from. So the starting point is having a strong business model and the sense of transparency in managing that business. Investors will typically want certain disclosure requirement before they put their money in. The willingness of businesses to disclose their operation, having a strong governance or management framework is also a key factor. And the need for strong financial management is also one of the variables that an entrepreneur who is desirous of attracting business should have in place. Because these are basically referred to as the hygiene factors that every investor needs to be able to put their money into your business. Your business must be clearly defined. You should have transparency of systems. You should have a strong foundational financial system for managing, and you should be open, have a strong governance board that is functional, not a rubber stamp board. So these are the key requirements that you need to be able to attract businesses or to attract financing from investors.
But what recommendations will you give to governments, financial institutions, businesses, and individuals today to unlock more green and climate finance?
Thank you, Dr. Tokun. Having been in this space for a couple of years now, my view about green and climate financing is that we must be more inward looking in terms of sourcing for financing opportunities. So government should now begin to be more inward looking, because the reality of the global economy is that financing opportunity from the external sources are drying up. Organization as we increasingly become global, there is also the other side where governments are dealing with their unique domestic challenges. And therefore, what I will typically say is that governments should look for opportunities to build local or homegrown financing structures that help in de-risking the risk associated with green projects before they can even be able to attract foreign partners to be able to come and support. Because every financier will want to be sure that you yourself have put your own skin in the game, as the bankers or credit people will call it. So you don't go asking for money from external sources when you yourself have not really put your skin in the game or your funds into supporting businesses. So I would say that the starting point is a governance framework where there is local or homegrown solution. There must also be building of strong regulatory framework or policy framework, which serve as a source of comfort for external investors. And once government put their skin in the game, then it now opens the opportunity for private capital owners to be willing and have the comfort to pump in their own resources into a green project. So in summary, the starting point is government, put your own skin in the game, set up funds either through voluntary contribution from or other funding from various sources to set up a fund, a revolving fund of a nature that will support businesses which are pursuing green projects as a starting point, build a strong, robust governance framework around those funding to ensure that the funds are not dissipated. And once you have these benchmarks in place, then external investors, private investors, both local and external, will be willing to put their funding into green or sustainability linked funding. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Council. What are your final comments?
My final comment is to say when we talk about green financing or climate financing, it is essentially, when we talk about environmental goals, it is essentially a financing discussion. Uh, it's a financing discussion that you may have all the novel projects or business model that you will need to take off from the ground. But at the end of the day, it comes back to what? Conversation about where is the financing coming from? And the source of financing is multidimensional. It can be from the entrepreneur's own funding. So therefore, before you even embark on the project, you should be willing. This time, it is not enough to have an idea. Your idea must be backed by something that is on the table from your own resources. And when that happens, the other financiers have comfort. My other parting comment is to say multinational governments or local government must have develop a supporting, enabling environment for businesses that want to pursue green project. And this enabling environment could be in the form of um, subsidies, discretionary instrument, or partnership with local government. For instance, one of the areas of the area of waste management as a potential sector is to have government and private businesses partner in managing waste. So these are my final comments on financing the green ecosystem, financing environment, and then sustainability in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council. We appreciate your time. Despite the technical hitch, you were able to rejoin for us to continue the program. We really appreciate your time and your knowledge on the subject matter. Uh, Viewers, we also thank you for your patience and your understanding, for being with us throughout the show. If you are new to the channel, kindly hit the subscribe button on YouTube to motivate us to continue to bring you such insightful conversations. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on TikTok. If you are also interested in training program, training workshop, technical expertise on ESG, sustainability, climate finance, environmental compliance, you can reach out uh, for support. We are ready to help you. This is where we draw the curtain to a close. We hope to see you again next time. The next episode will talk about local content within the oil and gas sector. And my guest will be another legal practitioner, also based in Accra, Ghana. Thank you so much again, Council, for joining us on the show. We learned a lot. We hope to see you again next time. All the best.
Thank you so much, Doc, and thank you for this opportunity for creating this platform for educating our audience on various topics in the field of sustainability and green financing. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.